Today I am celebrating the life of Martin Luther King Jr., the man who probably most people will be completely familiar with, the man whose dream of a world that looked beyond colour is still waiting for its fulfillment. When I was a young man, I thought we were actually arriving at that point, and I've been most disheartened in recent years to see the shameful rise of discrimination on account of colour beginning to rise again. This is most distressing. I was a young man in my teens, in my 20s, when it seemed to me in the United Kingdom that everybody had a favourite musician who was from an ethnicity that wasn't their own. People were developing a really broad appreciation of music. World music was being accepted almost across the board, and everybody had a favourite footballer, whether they were white or black or from anywhere in the world. It just seemed that there was an equality that was on the rise. Maybe I was just extremely naive as that younger man to think that these differences had been overcome. I think they were on their way to being overcome, and in recent years it's really brought great sadness to me to see so many people emphasizing and underlining the differences that exist between people just because of their color. It's a real shame, and it's not that I wish to believe that everybody is the same. We have different cultural heritages, we have different physical ways of being, different aptitudes. There is undoubtedly differences between people of different colours in terms of physical form, if you're talking about the average, just as there are differences in expectations and, I don't know, clearly differences exist. And yet underneath all of those differences, we have the same coloured blood, we have the same beating hearts, our biology, our physiology works in pretty much the same way across the board. We all have the same human needs, the need for food and water, the need for warmth, the need for shelter, but we also need community, we need to be heard, we need to be understood, we need connection. And without connection, life is an atomized and isolated experience, a very lonely experience. So today I wish to celebrate Martin Luther King. His dream has still not yet been fully realised, and I pray that one day it shall. Maybe life has to get worse before it can get better. I'm trying to live in a way which is hope-free, without attaching to the idea that one day something will make it all okay. It's about embodying the beliefs that I have here, today and now. So I wish to, in the quiet of these woods, take a moment of silence to think about the life of Martin Luther King Jr. Someone who received many death threats and yet continued to speak out openly, seemingly without fear. As many of the geniuses that I've included in this 365 festivals, their lives were complicated. I have no expectation that he was an utterly impeccable human being. I know, for instance, that he had issues in his marriage, he took other lovers. Not that that was necessarily against an agreement in their marriage. Who can know? That's between two people. But I understand that there will be people who lived and knew Martin Luther King that will have many negative things to say about him. Nobody is perfect. And yet he ended up playing a role in our civilization and the evolution of thought on this planet. And I have the impression that he gave himself in full knowledge of the fact that he was taking huge risks, but that his adherence to the truth and honouring what was right was more important to him than his own self-preservation. That's an act of enormous courage, especially for someone with a family. So he has my eternal admiration for the contribution that he's made. And again, I'd like to take a brief moment of silence to give thanks for the life, the work, the contribution of Martin Luther King Jr.